So, I'd like to segue into, because we only have a few more minutes left, and that's a perfect segue into, you know, what kind of advice would you give a business owner, either, two types of business owners, somebody like you that's in business and somebody just starting out a business?
Well, um, I 100% agree with you and what you preach about operating using an actual entity, so that you're not just the sole proprietor and filing your taxes on a Schedule C. Everything I've ever done, I've opened an LLC for it. I've had many different entities. Even today, I have multiple entities that I operate because of the way that you need to structure things for both asset protection and for tax. So
Right.
using entities for sure, that if you decide you're going to do something in business, that you should get started legally correctly. And it's not hard to do, because you can file articles of incorporation by yourself with the Secretary of State of your state, whatever state you're in.
Yes. I
And
actually teach a course on that, on how to incorporate yourself and make yourself into an S corp.
yeah, and you don't need a lawyer to do it. You can do it yourself. So I think it's great that you're teaching that to people. The second thing that I would advise is that that you get some counsel from a good financial advisor, a tax expert, somebody like Joe, who can help you set up your financial system and your bookkeeping correctly. I remember doing this years ago when I first started investing in real estate. I took a small bookkeeping for small business course at the community college, and it was a CPA who taught it, and he was a tax preparation person. And the reason he taught the class was he was trying to get business. So kudos to him for using that. And so what I learned was, how to collect your expenses, how to categorize them. With real estate, you have asset classes, because you have, this piece of real estate and this piece of real estate, even if they're in one LLC. So I learned all of that. And from the beginning, I knew how to keep my books. If you don't know how to keep your books, you can start operating. And then when it's time to do your books, if you don't keep up with them, your books could be completely screwed up. Or even if you are keeping up with your books, if you're not doing it right, there's some subtle things, like what I was just talking about with asset classes with real estate, that each piece of real estate actually has its own P&L, even if it's in the same entity.
Right.
If I didn't know that, I would have kept my books wrong, and I would have had so much rework to do. But I got that advice right out of the gate, and I did it right, so that when it was time to file my taxes, like, all of the information was there and it was all correct already. So the two things I would advise people getting started: one, open a legal entity, and two, get financial advice before you're making money, before you're spending money, before you're operating with money, and learn how to organize your finances so that you don't make a mess. Those would be my two.
And that's the advice I would give people. So I appreciate you validating that for me. The entity thing has to be done. And a lot of people think, oh, I should set it up after I start making money. That's a mistake. You should set it up. But the major thing I think you did is you learned the basic bookkeeping system. And I took that for granted when I was 16 and I decided to be a CPA. I took a bookkeeping class in high school. And because of my stupidity and assumptions, I thought everybody did this. So kudos to you for doing that. And, I appreciate your time. And we have a couple of minutes left. The biggest challenge that you see facing a new business owner, any business owner?
Well, from my perspective, I mean, your perspective is financial, but I've mastered that sufficiently, and I have good resources. So our business is big enough that we pay for services, and we don't have problems now because I've hired competent services and And so I have that covered. But I think that it is good to know enough on your own, like that you could do it, but that you're not going to do it, so that you can actually have a good conversation. I have good conversations with my CPA because I know what I'm talking about, and it makes for a better
Right.
conversation. So that's a challenge. But the biggest challenge. So you have different layers of challenges. You know, the initial challenge is going to be things like marketing and getting business. But then your higher level challenges, as you progress in business, become operational. They become things like, how do I automate things? What are my systems and processes? How do I manage delegating? How do I train employees? They become higher level problems as you start to grow. And I'm sure that you have seen this in your business. You know, you use contract bookkeepers, and you have to make sure all of them are trained as an extension of you to make sure they're doing things the way you would do them if you were sitting in that seat. So
I look at a business as it's like a machine, and you got all
yes,
these moving parts, and if something isn't greased right, or something's out of line, it affects the whole business.
for sure. One of the
So
images that I use is an image of a bunch of gears, and people operating rotating their gears. So if you have one thing that goes wrong, it can stop the entire machine. And
yeah,
so
it holds you back. So
so
now tell me
that's the
about
biggest problem I see is that people end up overworked because when they start to grow, they haven't systemized and they don't know how to delegate. They don't know, they can hire employees, but then the employees don't do things the way they would because they haven't created a process for the employees to
right,
follow.
and this brings us right back to the burnout,
Yes,
doesn't it?
that
Because
is
you start,
why small
this
business
is
owners burn out,
exactly this
because
is exactly what I see business owners doing. They wind up getting burnt out, and they lose sight of their objective. They get off track. So now your business, from what I understand, you started this consulting business where you actually help people implement the systems and processes. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how people would get in touch with you?
yes. You can contact me at ginastgeorge.com. That's actually my speaker website. So when I speak, that's how to contact me and get me to speak at events. I also have businessresultssystems.com, and it's plural results,
Okay.
businessresultssystems.com. And there, we do two things there. We offer consulting, but then we also offer just training. So there are courses that you can buy where you learn about how to set up systems to be able to hire people and duplicate yourself and not burn out. That was what I spent my time doing when I first joined Andy, is that he touched too many different things. And when you touch everything, your ability to grow is going to be limited by how many things you can touch and how many things that you can do. If you really want to grow, you need to be able to delegate to others so that other people are doing things that and you can do things at a higher level that are strategic. So that's what I teach people how to do. And then the other thing I teach people how to do is for speakers, authors, and coaches, I teach them how to duplicate themselves by creating digital courses, because speakers, authors, and coaches burn out also because their income becomes limited by how much they can do. And so what you do is coach. You're involved. You have to touch everything. And so by duplicating yourself, by making yourself digital, you're able to scale your business, make more money without being present while you're teaching.
And
So that's what I do. That is the Guru Maker System, gurumakersystem.com. And so that's how people can get a hold of me.
okay, so gurusystem.com
Guru Maker
is
System.
your course. I'm sorry?
Gurumakersystem.com.
Oh, Guru Maker Systems.
Yeah, yep.
Let's get that straight. Google Maker Systems.
Guru Maker System. Guru,
Guru.
like expert.
Okay.
Guru Maker System.
Guru Maker Systems. It's a tongue twister for me. That is awesome, Gina. I thank you so much for giving us this information. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people. do you have any closing words or anything that you want to leave us with?
I'm really happy that you had me here on your show. What you do is really valuable for small businesses, and I would simply reiterate that somebody competent like Joe is a valuable resource to have somebody who actually understands financial structure and tax is a really important person to have on your team, and you can actually get that advice for less than you think, because people think, oh, I can't hire somebody like that because I'm just getting started, it's too expensive. Do it. You need to make sure you're getting that advice. So I would leave your listeners with a testimonial for the type of service that you provide and how valuable it is, because getting yourself in trouble financially and getting yourself in trouble with the IRS is just not a problem that you need in business. It's hard enough to be in business without having the IRS involved. So that would be my
Yes.
parting words of wisdom.
One last short question. How is life for you and Andy?
It's good. It's good. We're very busy. We sold one of our businesses back in 2015. So we still operate
Yes.
one. And so we continue operating that. And selling one business enabled me to do a lot more coaching and consulting. I focus more on that. Andy kind of holds down the fort on the business, and because that wasn't really what I wanted to do full time. So he's back to doing that. I'm doing the coaching and consulting. It's good. I could actually do an entire show on working with your spouse, a subject unto itself. So it was actually better for us to like separate and like, I'm going to do this and you're going to do that. And then we can talk to each other about how we spend our day, because working together all day long, every day is really challenging. But that's for a different show that we'll talk about working with your spouse.
Awesome. I hope I'm going to see you next week at the boot camp. Craig
Yes, I will be there.
The last Rockstar Marketing Boot Camp. So I'm looking forward to seeing you and Andy. And I'm over and out. Thank you, Gina.
All right. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.